Hey VC, it's me Roger back with another video. Still playing catch up over here. I got a lot of records to show that I picked up over the last, I don't know, couple months. We're now well into January. So let's just get right to it, okay? That's what you're here for, records. I got records to show. First what's playing in the background is the new Verma. It's called Molapin. Trouble in Mind. I can't remember if I showed this in my last video. Maybe. Sorry if I did. Great band. I have David Sequoia Flame to thank for turning me on to these guys. This is like their fourth record. Yeah, great stuff. Space rock, kind of synthesizer and guitar, post rock, whatever you want to call it. I dig it. Good stuff. You can hear it in the background, kind of quietly. Let's turn it up a little bit. Also picked up a 7-inch by them on the Hozak label from 2013. A-side Ragnarok, B-side is called Chrome. Both are non-album tracks. Cool stuff. It's an EP, spins at 33. Been digging in the 7-inch bins lately, and I've got more 7-inches to show, but I'm going to save them for another video. Cheers, VC. So yeah, the new Sun, Canon, on Southern Lord. Anxiously awaited non-collaborative Sun album. What is there to say? You know, after Monoliths and Dimensions, I think they had a real hard road trying to top that. And hence all the collaborations, and this is great, but a little short. It's about 35 minutes. The first 2,000 copies come with a 7-inch flexi disc. Flexi disc, really? Which could have easily fit on the album, and you know, what am I gonna say? It's Sun. It's great. If you like these guys, you'll love this. I'm looking forward to seeing them at Big Ears in April. The long-awaited new Baroness record, Purple, on their own label, Abraxan Hymns. This is the mail-order Purple copy, which I pre-ordered. Yeah, Baroness. Some of you may know the story. They released Yellow and Green a few years ago, 2012, 2011, 2012, something like that. Promptly went on tour and their bus crashed off a bridge in the UK, and the whole band was seriously injured. The rhythm section quit. The main guy who does the artwork, taught himself how to play guitar again, and the lead guitarist, you know, they recovered, they put a rhythm section back together, went back on tour. I mean, it was a huge blow for them, you know, right after the release of that album, to be off the road for a good year and a half, something like that. So anyway, you know, no doubt a lot of these songs have to do with that, those troubles, and this is a great record. They're moving more into a like hard rock, MOR kind of thing than the heaviness of like the Red album and the Blue album. And you know, some fans maybe aren't going to like that, but I dig it. You know, they hired a producer to work with them, so it's got a nice sound. Yeah, I just root for these guys. Great cover. The new Intronaut. What is this called? The Direction of Last Things. It's on Century Media. Intronaut, yeah, progressive metal band. This is heavier than their last record, which I can't remember the title. It's some big long thing. More screaming and stuff. I dig it. These guys are great. Yeah. What can I say? Picked up the new FK Twigs EP, which has a bizarre title of M3LL155X. 4-song EP. Another disturbing cover. It has this like velvety texture. It's interesting. Yeah, this is really interesting pop music, R&B flavored pop music. Avant pop, maybe. I don't know. What can I say? Right, that's it for new releases. I got some reissues to show you. Flower Traveling Band, Satori, on Phoenix Records. This has been shown a lot in the VC, and I finally decided to pick it up. It's a cool little record. Originals are rare as hell, apparently. I don't know that I would pay huge amounts of money for an original of this, but it's cool Japanese, like noise rock from '68, something like that. Yeah, cool stuff. You can hear their influence on like the 80s and 90s sort of alternative rock sound. I don't know what I'm saying. Satori, that's pretty cool. And a bunch of people have shown this, and I finally just bit the bullet. Best Combs and Rosette, Pole. Reissue on Gonzai, Germany. Originally, this was released in France on a 2 LP set. This puts it on 1 LP, and in fact it edits one of the pieces in half. Now the download contains the whole album, and you can download it losslessly, so there is that. That's nice. Turn that down a little bit. But why did they cut it up? One of the greatest all-time greatest electronic records ever. I mean, this is just great electronic music from '71, something like that. Yeah. Maybe someday I'll have an original. Huh. Another reissue, another great electronic record. Harold Groskopf's Synthesis. Originally came out on Sky in 1981 in Germany. This is a reissue on Bureau B from 2014. I was reading an article in the most recent Record Collector. They had a thing on the 41 influential electronic records, something like that, and this was on there, and I'd seen this at Grammys for a long time. I thought, God, that cover's terrible, but they raved about it, so I'm like, all right, I'll go grab that, and it's great. It is excellent electronic music. Covers all the bases from Berlin School sequencer stuff to spacey ambient to proto new age things. Yeah, this is great. 1981, you wouldn't think originals would be hard to find. Maybe they're not in Germany, but yeah, I'm happy with this reissue. It sounds great. Another that an original would be just about impossible to find. Linguas de Foio by Sidney Miller. Originally came out in Brazil on Som Livre Recordings. This is the Soul Rel Soul reissue. Nice, inexpensive reissue. It sounds good to me. Great psychedelic Brazilian pop record. Sort of folky influences, and sorry about the glare. Yeah, excellent. Sidney Miller, Linguas de Foio. Now there are reissues, and there are reissues. Yeah, I finally had to get this. Once I confirmed that it was really the original mix and not the Mark Wilder digital remix, I decided, yeah, I'm going to pay my money and get the Mo-Fi version of Bitches Brew. One of my all-time favorite albums. I mean, Desert Island album for sure. And this sounds great. Now, as much as I love Mark Wilder's remix, because it really opens up some of the air and clarifies things, you can really make out the instruments in all their detail. The original 1969 mix is real dark and funky, and I think, does it say who mastered this? Anyway, they did a spectacular job. I mean, they took that dark, mysterious, funky original sound and brightened it up a little bit, but it still retains the mystery. This just sounds freaking great. This is awesome. Awesome. Alright, that's it for new vinyl. really whipping through these. Found some really good jazz records over the past couple months. Ornette Coleman Chappaqua Suite on French CBS. Never issued in the US, not even on CD. Interesting story about this record. Recorded in 65, came out in 66. He was originally commissioned to do music for film called Chappaqua by this guy, David Crook, I think is his name. I'm not totally certain on that. But anyway, so Ornette goes into the studio in New York with his trio with Eisenson and Moffett. Pharoah Sanders plays on the fourth side, and then there's a sort of small chamber orchestra with anonymous players, and it works really well. It's double LP. I think it's his first real venture into orchestral music. I think he'd done that string quartet piece at Town Hall. But these anonymous musicians acquit those charts really well. Really, it's excellent. So excellent, in fact, that the director decided that the music might overwhelm his movie, and so instead convinced CBS in France to issue it as a double LP. Pretty rare in the US. I was super happy to find it. I mean, it's near mint, and got it at a really good price. Totally stoked about that. Archie Shepp, Mama Too Tight on Impulse. This is a later issue. It's not in a gatefold, so it's missing all the information. There might have been an insert. Oh, whatever. This is one of my favorite Archie Shepp records, though. I can't remember who else playing on it. It's pretty intense. Again, no information available on this. I had the CD, 65, I believe, something like that. Yeah, killer. Pretty intense. Archie Shepp. Kind of at the other extreme, it's kind of a mellow Bobby Hutcherson record. Natural Illusions on Blue Note from 1972. He's got kind of a big group going, kind of with strings and flutes, and it's kind of mellow. But Bobby Hutcherson, what a tasteful player and composer and arranger, and it's just terrific. It's great late night romantic music. I'm a huge fan of Bobby Hutcherson. It's a great picture of him there. Excellent. Here's Joe Henderson, Canyon Lady on Milestone from 1975. A little bit of ring wear. It looks like kind of a halo around her afro there, maybe. I don't have a lot of Joe Henderson records, but this is really nice record. Again, kind of a big group with trumpets and trombones, including Julian Priester, flutes, George Duke on electric piano, Mark Levine on acoustic piano, Don Hurd on bass, Eric Gravatt on drums. So kind of a funky fusion thing going on here, kind of a mix of fusion and straight ahead jazz. Really nice record. I enjoyed it a lot. Joe Henderson, Canyon Lady. Here's a kind of Afro pop, Afro jazz record. Afrovision by Manu Dibango on Island from 1978. Yeah, this is a nice find. I'm gonna dig in one day, and this is the only thing I found, but it was cheap, and it's great. Afro pop. It's promo. It's got a bio inside. Cool stuff. This is a really cool record. I kind of took a chance on. Didn't really know what it was exactly. Terumasa Hino Sextet. Catalyst International Jazz from Japan. Yeah, originally released in Japan, I think under a different title. This is a U.S. pressing on Catalyst from, 1975? So, all Japanese band with Terumasa Hino on trumpet. I'm not going to try to pronounce these names, but there's trumpet, tenor sax, electric piano, guitar, bass, and drums. Kind of an infusion bag, an Electric Miles bag. Excellent, excellent, excellent record. I was blown away by this. Super duper. Highly recommend it. Jazz from Japan on Catalyst. Terry Masahino Sextet. Here's a record I used to have, maybe, or a friend, roommate had it. I don't know. It was a big, important record back in the '80s. To me and my cohort, Arthur Blythe, Lenox Avenue Breakdown on Columbia, 1979. Yeah, killer band with James Blood Ulmer and all top players. Kind of outside, kind of inside, kind of funky, kind of swinging. Excellent. Love it. Love that cover. Yeah, another white label promo with a bio. Really cool. Mint. Minty, minty, mint. Speaking of mint, holy crap. For some reason, someone unloaded their David Murray records on Black Saint. Here's probably his masterpiece, David Murray Octet Ming. Which refers to his wife, who's on the cover there. What a killer band with Henry Threadgill, Olu Dara, Butch Morris, George Lewis, Anthony Davis, Wilbur Morris, and Steve McCall. This is killer. On Black Saint from 1980. Minty, minty, mint. And really good price. I was shocked. So not only that, his 1984 album, Morning Song. A little lighter, but excellent. With John Hicks on piano, Reggie Workman on bass, Ed Blackwell on drums. I mean, can't beat that lineup. And here's, how do I show the back here? That's a nice painting by his wife. And then a classic, 1985, Children. The first side of which has this great band with James Blood Ulmer. It's just funky as hell. Second side is a little more inside with Don Pullen on piano, Lonnie Plaxico on bass, and Smitty Smith on drums. But yeah, the first side of this is just killer. And again, just mint. And like $5, I was shocked. This is not on Black Saint, but their sister label, Soul Note. Cecil Taylor for Olam. Cecil Taylor. Now, what is there to say about Cecil Taylor? I've had this on CD forever. When I saw this, mint for like $5, I just had to have it. Bring it home. Solo piano record from Cecil from 1987. One of his more approachable records, really. The pieces are a little bit shorter. Sometimes you can just go on and on and on for an hour straight. There's some short pieces, some very lyrical, almost pretty playing, for Cecil Taylor on here. And this is excellent. Great starting place for people who are interested in Cecil Taylor but find him a little bit intimidating. He's clearly trying to intimidate you on that cover, right? Great stuff. Music for Zen Meditation by Tony Scott with a couple of Japanese musicians from 1965 on Verve. I've had this on CD for a long time. Been looking for a copy of this on vinyl that wasn't completely beat or really expensive, and this fits the bill. I paid $1 for it. It's not in perfect shape, but it plays. Beautiful stuff. Now here is just an incredible new age record. In fact, it's an incredible record regardless of the genre. Sam McLennan, Music of the Five Elements. Private Press record on Spirit Records from 1982. Didn't know what this was when I saw it, except, you look and it's all about the chakras and shit like that. But I thought, well, heck, I'll check it out. And it's excellent music. Very spacey, very contemplative, as you would expect, I guess, but it's not light and cheesy kind of new age music. It reminds me of Popol Vuh at times, at their most spiritual or cosmic or whatever. This is excellent record. Apparently, the only vinyl record he ever made. It never came out on CD. Came out on cassette, and then there's 2 more volumes that only came out on cassette. I'm thinking Carm knows about this guy and maybe has those cassettes. I'd love to hear that stuff. Excellent, excellent. Forget the new age pablum stuff. This is great. Music with 5 Elements by Sam McClellan. Yeah, baby. Couple more. Another that kind of falls into the new age camp. Deuter, Call of the Unknown, selected pieces 1972 to 1986 on the German Cook label. 2 LP compilation, just as it sounds like. I think there's one track unreleased. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful, cosmic, folky Deuter. Now, I know Carm knows this. I know a lot of you know Deuter. This is good stuff. And I love the Cook label. They just do a really nice job. Alright, last one. A soundtrack by Tangerine Dream, Firestarter, on MCA from 1984. I collect Tangerine Dream, so whenever I see their records, I pick them up if I don't already have them. And this is really good, really strong soundtrack. Harkens back in many ways to their classic, 70s period. Lots of sequencers and, it's kind of a horror movie, so they get it has kind of an edge to it. Excellent. Excellent soundtrack. Excellent Tangerine Dream record. Firestarter. Alright, that's it. Hey, that's a pretty big stack of records. Only 20 minutes. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for sticking around, hanging out with me. I'll be back soon because I have more records to show. Take care, everybody.